Hey neighbors, got a minute? You may recall there was this guy named Peter who was one of the sort of the inner circle in Jesus's ministry. We found him again in the book of Acts, helping to start the early church. Now I know we've left him behind and moved on to Paul, but one of the things that Peter said in a letter that he wrote to the church later on was this. He says, always be prepared in season and out of season to share the hope that is in you. Said a different way, always be prepared to tell people why you believe what you believe. Not necessarily what you believe to try to convince them to believe as you do, but the point I think he was trying to get at was, remember why you said yes to Jesus. Remember where you met him. Remember what life is like now that you know him, and always be prepared to share that story when you come upon people who really need to hear some good news. Paul is taking that advice, and he's there in front of King Agrippa in chapter 26, and we're going to study it this week, but the entire chapter is simply him telling his story again. And I just have to imagine that when I look back on my own story, and I look back on where I met Jesus, when I've interacted with Jesus, how I found him active in my own life, it makes it easier to talk about him to those who ask me questions. Now, some of us are a little scared to talk about our faith because we're afraid we might get asked a question that we don't have an answer to, like, why do you believe this? Or how do you explain this? Or I just think that sometimes what people are asking for is, what hope have you found in a relationship with Jesus? They may not even be asking for you to defend God to them, but more, what is it about God that you have found so compelling that you would give your life to him, that you would allow him to call the shots in your life going forward, that you would make choices so that you could fulfill his mission in the world? I think that's the hope the world's waiting to hear about, and I think that's the hope that Peter was telling us to be always prepared to share. We're going to talk about chapter 26 this coming Sunday at 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock. You heard me right. This is the week. Worship is now at 9 and 11, so plan to be there at one of those two times. We'll open up chapter 26. We'll talk a little bit more about the power that can be found in sharing your story with another person. Take care. We'll see you then.